anyone who has questions, I get it, right? Like, this is not, the Mets haven't struggled with runners in scoring position over this losing streak, and we're trying to extrapolate that and be like, well, now is the end, and this is what, from here on, they haven't hit with runners in scoring position all year. They've been a relatively successful offense, and the pitching has carried them mostly, but runners in scoring position has been a problem all year. And here's the thing. At this point, my hands are up. Right. I don't know what to do. What can you do? They have good hitters, especially 1 through 5. 6 through 9 is something that they navigate day in and day out and try to get through. I don't know if there's more pressure put on the top guys because they know if they don't do it, the bottom of the order probably isn't. But hey, look, I don't know. I don't know what the approach is, because like, you can designate an approach like hunt early fastballs with runners in scoring position because pitchers want to get ahead, and then they spin a couple breaking balls in and you're down 0-2. Now you're on the defensive and you're not on the offensive. I would imagine the Mets will not finish the season 29th in baseball hitting with runners in scoring position. So by definition, Steve Cohen's probably right that there are better days ahead for hitting with runners in scoring position. But I don't know that we're going to get to the point where the Mets are hitting at the top of the league in that statistical category.
Yeah, I think that it's hard to fathom, of course, right? The numbers that they have with runners in scoring position because of how much talent they have on offense. And naturally, there's really only one direction for it to go. But that's not the conversation. As you just said, Joe, are the Mets gonna? I haven't had one of those in a long time.
Yeah, what are the Jets gonna do?
And we're getting close to training camp. The Mets naturally will probably be a little better than this, but that's not the goal this season right now. And it makes you wonder. I look at it and it just makes me wonder. David Stearns is a guy that rightfully so wants to be calculated. I would say more of a slower burn at building a sustainable model with this team. And you've seen that with his strategy with pitching, which I think is ultimately his long-term strategy. We always believed that the Juan Soto move was more of a Steve Cohen move, although Juan Soto is such a great player that's kind of an outlier move. But you have to wonder, there are expectations, understandably, you'd think, from Steve Cohen and the Met fan this year, that David Stearns might have to operate out of his comfort zone in a couple of weeks. And that doesn't mean you say, I have to trade Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat and Nolan McLean for rentals because I have to. Like, he was brought here to do a job. And I don't think Steve Cohen is going to, kind of light the coals under his feet and say, listen, man, whatever it takes to get over the hump this year. I don't think that's the year the Mets are in. I think there is more pressure than we've seen in a while. And I think that Stearns might have to, if there's prospects that he doesn't project as high as the external world does, I think there's going to have to be a conversation, Joe, of being a little bit more aggressive in certain areas. And maybe this kind of comes full circle because I think the first trade target we've ever really talked about this year, and I'm using him as an example. I'm not saying he's going to be available, but you look at Jarren Duran. The idea of that trade is you're not trading for a rental. So you're more willing to give up premium assets because you're trying to get a more long-term solution. Maybe that's the meaning of the middle, that Stearns goes out and says, if there's guys on the market that are going to cost a lot, at least allow me to get multiple years of some kind of production. And if there's rentals out there, I'll try to go get them, but I'm not going to surrender real assets to go get rentals because that's just not the kind of model we're building. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Mets approach this because it feels like what they need requires Stearns to go outside of his comfort zone, Joe.